Hey, what's going on? Todd Shaw with another episode of the Sawdust Dude. All right, hey, I appreciate you watching and thanks for tuning in again. Hey, today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is shopping for tools. But before we get started, we got a word from our sponsor. Hey, this is Leaping Larry telling you to come on down to Leaping Larry's Tool Barn, where we got the tools to get the job done. Hey, we got bandsaws, bar clamps, and bend pans. We got hammers, planes, and pliers. We got lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! Come on down to Larry's Used Tool Barn. Come on down to Leaping Larry's, just off of Highway 441 on the frontage road, right behind Roxy's Go-Go Girls. Remember Leaping Larry's? You got no credit, bad credit, slow credit. We don't care. Come on down. Just remember our motto: leave your mother-in-law at home unless she's got cash. Well, you know, you watch old Leaping Larry or people like that, and you just sometimes people are a little leery about buying used tools. Do I buy new and bite the bullet, or do I buy something used, save a little bit of money, but I'm scared about my purchase? Well, let's kind of talk about some of the do's and the don'ts, or some of the pros and the cons about new versus used, and really kind of approaching it from the used part, because I'm going to do a quick tour of the shop later on in the video and show you what that I purchased new and what I purchased used. But also stick around to the very end, because I got some little bonus tips about buying used tools. All right, so we're really kind of talking about larger tools, kind of like bandsaws, table saws, router tables, things like that. Big tools that you use in your shop, dust collectors, and on and on. The list kind of goes on. But, you know, they can be some of the more pricey tools in your shop. So is it okay to buy used? Because, you know, some guys are like, no, all my tools are got to match. I want a certain brand through all that. And I get that. I'm all about brand loyalty, because they're good tools. But, you know, it's one of those things that I've got some old tools in my shop that are really, really good. So number one is this, kind of, what do you look out for when you buy used tools? Well, number one is kind of this. You got to know the brand. Do your research on that brand. Really kind of become an expert about it. I read this little interesting fact about how can you call yourself an expert? Well, they say that if you study a specific subject or an item for 10,000 hours or more, you qualify yourself as an expert. Well, you know what? Do your due diligence when purchasing a tool. You're not familiar with a particular brand, it's okay to say, I don't know. But you know what? My gosh, we got the internet. We got the Sawdust Dude. You got all these other cool channels that are just a click away. Educate yourself on that specific brand. Now I'm going to use this old dinosaur here. This is a 3-wheel bandsaw. It's a where is it? Inca. An Inca bandsaw. And you don't see these things around very much at all. I'll pop the cover off. I'm going to use this Inca as an example of buying used, and it's unplugged, so anytime you stick your hands around a saw or whatever, make sure it's unplugged. But the big thing about the Inca, it's a 3-wheel bandsaw, and it cuts on the left, where most bandsaws is 2 wheels and it cuts on the right. So this is a real unique dinosaur, but I'm telling you, this thing cuts and runs like a Cadillac. Okay, like an old Cadillac when they were cool with the fins and everything. But the Inca has been a great saw. So here's the cool thing about older tools. They were just made to last. You know, so it does have some plastic parts on it, but most of the thing, I mean, it's just heavy duty steel and aluminum. Just a great saw. You want to ask yourself the question, are all the parts there? You know, am I going to have to track down parts? The other part of that, do they still make reproduction, or do they make parts for this saw or for the item that you're trying to sell? So if I have a problem, is it just going to be a waste of money because I'm missing one little part? So that's another great question you have to ask yourself. That's why you want to do all the research that you can up front. Here's another little thing that you want to look for. Talking about the safety of it. What about the power cord? Well, look at this. It looks like somebody's been doing some creative wiring on this one. But after checking it out, that it's a 110, because see, both of the blades are kind of going up. Sometimes you'll have it designated, and that one blade will be sideways, and it has to be on a circuit all by itself. And so this one was a 110, a single phase, not a three-phase or anything like that, where I had to have special electrical requirements to operate it. So always check that. Is it a tool that will meet my current electrical situation? Can I just plug in and play, as they say? The other thing about saws like this, the motor here, this is a motor that can be replaced, and actually it has been replaced one time years ago. And so I had a table saw one time that I got a deal on, and it worked for years and years and years. Well, finally the motor overheated. I took the motor off, took it down to the repair shop, and because it had a plastic housing, and when it spun a bearing, it melted that housing. So all of a sudden that table saw was off to the landfill. So that's some of the things that you look out for. Know the brand. Are all the parts there? Can I get the parts if they're missing? And is it well constructed? Number one is, know what you're looking for. Number two is obvious. Know where to look for it. And that for some people, that's a mystery, but really, especially nowadays with the internet, it's just real easy to find stuff. And I've kind of over the years been able to run down certain pieces of equipment, or heck, even sell pieces of equipment. I run across deals and I'm like, man, that's just a good deal, and I purchase it and turn around and flip it. And there's another way to support your woodworking or carpentry habit. But here's the big thing in knowing where to look and purchasing a piece of great used equipment, and it's this: you cannot be in a hurry. A lot of times these things really just fall in my lap. There was a trailer I wanted for my business, a utility trailer. Looked and was not going to pay $1,800 to $2,500 for this 8x10 trailer. Was working on a job, and a customer had a trailer just like I wanted. Mentioned it a couple times, and then she called me one day. She goes, "I'll sell you that trailer for $500." And the guy working with me was like, "Todd, how do you fall into these deals?" Well, number one, I always have the cash available ready to purchase it, because a lot of times if you leave, somebody else, boom, will swoop in and take it from you. So you kind of, that old Boy Scout thing, you got to be prepared. But I know what I'm looking for, and then you got to know where to look. And number one is this, Craigslist, just kind of thumbing through there. I remember one time there was a well-known woodworking bench. I mean, it's like $3,000 for this bench. Guy wanted $400 for it. Bad part is, I was about 5 minutes too late. I even got in the car. I had to drive an hour and a half. I said, "Listen, man, I'm on my way. If this guy backs out," I said, "please call me back." I said, "because I got the cash and I'll bring it to you." And probably about 30 minutes in the trip, he called me and says, "Todd, the guy picked it up." So Craigslist, you'll find stuff out there. Always be on the lookout for that. eBay. Now, I've sold a lot of stuff on eBay, and also picked up a few items on eBay. eBay is a great place to look. Now we have Facebook and social media. A lot of times on Facebook, they've got a local yard sale page. You can kind of type in your item there, or subscribe not only to your town, but also just kind of, the way I look at it, if you just kind of do a 50-mile radius. I'll tell you another place I really like to look, and we'll all be there one day. One day I'm going to die, and all this is going to be left to my kids, or my kids will go, "Dad, I don't want that stuff." And they'll sell it. Estate sales are a great place to buy equipment. Once again, refer back to all the items that I talked about, knowing what you're looking at, or what you're looking for. Go through and inspect everything and make sure that it's still safe and functional. But estate sales are a great place where you go. But auctions, If you drink too much at an auction, you'll overpay every time, I promise. Okay? But auctions are a great place to find. Like I said, you can get into a bidding war there. I'd rather be the only guy on location when I'm buying something. That's just kind of my preference, okay? You know, a lot of times, and in fact, this Inca bandsaw was free. It was given to me. It was gifted to me. I've got several pieces of equipment. This came originally from a guy in Columbia, South Carolina, Jack Homan, who was an awesome woodworker, finished carpenter and woodworker. Dude was phenomenal. Well, he passed away, estate sale, and a friend of mine purchased this equipment, used it for years and years and years, built his house with it and did some other things like that. All of a sudden, once his house was finished, he really didn't need the fine woodworking equipment. And he said to me one day, you know, Todd, I got to clear out my warehouse. If you come and pick this stuff up, it's yours. Now, I had to drive 3 hours one way, had to rent a U-Haul truck. I had so much. I had this, the dust collector, several other pieces of equipment. In fact, 2 other pieces of equipment that I sold, and I made more money to buy other things that I needed for my micro shop. Family and friends, sometimes, you know, stuff just, thank the Lord, it just falls in your lap. It's a blessing. Thank you. Yeah. And you just keep moving on. But now, those are some great ways. And I kind of look at it like this. You know, your friends, they know you. I mean, if you're a nice guy, it's going to come back on you. You know, they know you're passionate about woodworking. So, you know, that's a great thing about life. You know, it's just blessings kind of come your way. So that's a cool deal. Hey, just want to carry you around the perimeter of the shop and just kind of let you know what I've purchased new and what I've purchased used. All of these clamps, all of my clamps pretty much came from an estate sale. I bought them used. The Hula Girl CNC machine, I actually purchased that new on a lease program just because, I don't recommend lease programs, but just because they had a buyback, if something happened to the electronics, they would send me a brand new one. So, brick router table, new. Air compressor, used. Belt sander that I hardly ever use, Harbor Freight, new. Oscillating sander, new. That was a free. That was a given. Drill press, that was free. This Grizzly dust collector was given to me. DeWalt table saw, I bought that new, but it was on sale. It was a closeout. DeWalt planer, I bought that from an estate sale. So cool there. Don't forget to stick around until the very end. Got some little bonus tips for you. But what we're talking about here, you got to know what you're looking for. You got to know where to look. And finally is this, you got to know what you need to pay. Kind of do your research on that. You know, you're not going to pay retail. Somebody's got something, a tool, got an Inca bandsaw. You're not going to pay full-blown retail price. Number one, because they don't sell these anymore. But you know, you're not going to pay what they paid for it 15 years ago. That's just not going to happen. It's kind of like one of those things, if you buy a new car, you drive it off the lot, it just depreciates like that. Power tools are the same way. So when I talk about knowing what to pay, number one is this, and this is huge. Do not be in a hurry. You know, kind of put a timeline on it. Be diligent. Look, go through, know where to look. Facebook, Craigslist, eBay, all that stuff. Kind of keep searching. Don't be in a hurry, because if you keep all that going, if you're not in a hurry and you keep looking, you won't overpay. If you get in a hurry, oh, I gotta have it, you will overpay every time. Just go ahead and buy a brand new one. You know what I'm saying? And don't be afraid to make an offer. Somebody says, hey, I want $1,000 for this, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give you $250. I'm not trying to offend them. But once again, they're not on my Christmas card list. Don't be afraid to make people an offer, you know, and do the little dance, you know. I want $1,000. I'll offer you $250. Well, how about $800? You know, and you kind of go back and forth. And I've had people get mad before, but I'm okay with that, you know, because they want to get rid of it, and they'll eventually agree on the price, or either I get in the car and just go back home, and that's okay. Cool deal. All right, appreciate you watching, but don't leave yet because we got those bonus tips. Appreciate you watching. Hey, but stick around because when I talk about the bonus tips, here's some other little things when you go to look at a piece of equipment that will help you out. And number one on the bonus is this: carry a square with you. You know, you just kind of want to check it out and make sure that everything's looking good. Whether it's a bandsaw or a chop saw, making sure that the chop saw's kind of locking in place. It's okay to hear it run. I've sold a table saw, went to Main Street of my little town here, found a plug. The guy drove from Tennessee to purchase it. We drug it out on the sidewalk. I plugged it up on Main Street just to hear it run. People were watching and care. It was funny, but you know what? I sold it and the guy was happy. And so it's okay. Say, hey, I want to hear it run. Go with a reputable, strong brand. You know, that's something that the pros use. You know, buy something good. Cheap just winds up costing you more money down the road. You know, when you buy a larger piece of equipment like a bandsaw or a full-blown cabinet shop style table saw, you know what? It's going to cost some money. Even though you're buying it used, even though you're getting a good deal, they still kind of retain their value to a certain degree. And it's kind of like that thing. It's okay. Just pay once, cry once. Because if you buy the quality brand name, it's going to last you forever. Finally, this on the bonus tips. You know, when it comes to small tools, I really just buy those new. I don't take a chance. You know, I've got some old planes, but you know what? The new ones just work better. A lot of times the planes, you got to refurbish them, and that's okay. You can kind of take the time, but sometimes the blades are kind of, they're just used up. Well, cool deal. Appreciate you watching another episode of The Sawdust Dude. Remember, it is about learning better skills for better results, even when you're buying tools. Oh yeah, I'll see you real soon.